Now the question number 11, the variation of potential energy of a harmonic oscillator as shown in the figure, then find the spring constant. So first of all, here observing the graph, the displacement is given, that means from the origin to here, so the maximum displacement of the curve that is given, y is equal to 20 millimeters, convert into meters means 20 into 10 to the power of minus 10 to the power of minus 3 meters, or otherwise 2 into 10 to the power of minus 2 meters. Then afterwards here, this is the minimum potential energy and it is the maximum potential energy. So to find the spring constant, the difference between the maximum and minimum potential energies, which is equating to the change in potential energy. So that means here change in potential energy is equal to potential energy maximum minus potential energy minimum is nothing but half k y square. So y square is nothing but what is this is the y. So k we want to calculate, but here u max and u minimum, that is very important one. So that means u max means up to here 0.04. So that means what happens here, 0.04 joules minus minimum, that is 0.01 joules, is equal to half into k into 2 into 10 to the power of minus 2 whole square. But one thing remember here, so this is 4 into 10 to the power of minus 2 joules minus 1 into 10 to the power of minus 2 joules is equal to half into k into 4 into 10 to the power of minus 4. So 4 minus 1, how much here? 3 into 10 to the power of minus 2 is equal to half into k into 4 into 10 to the power of minus 4. So that means k, required k value. So k is equal to 2 into 3, how much here? So 3 into 2 into 10 to the power of minus 2 divided by 4 into 10 to the power of minus 4. So k is equal to 3 to here, how much here? 2 times 3 by 2 is nothing but 1.5 into 10 to minus 2 here plus 4. So that means plus 2. K value, the units are Newton by meters. So which are, or otherwise we will write like this, 1.5 into 10 square Newton meter to the power of minus 1. So 1.5 into 10 square. So 1.5 into 10 square is nothing but how much here? 150 Newton meter to the power of minus 1. So which option is correct here? 150 Newton meter to the power of minus 1. Option B is correct. That is spring constant. Now the question number 12. Strength of gravitation force compared to strong nuclear force is how much? So here first of all, here strength of gravitational force is equal to 10 to the power of minus 49, and another one, strength of strong nuclear force is equal to 10 to the power of minus 10 newtons. These two are newtons only. This can be represented, I will write this one as Fg, this one as Fn. So here what they ask here, strength of gravitation force compared to nuclear force. So that means Fg divided by Fn. So Fg, how much here? 10 to the power of minus 49 divided by 10 to the power of minus 10. So here 10 to the power of minus 49 plus 10 is equal to 10 to the power of minus 39. So which option is correct here? Option A is correct. Now the question number 13. A cyclist come to a skidding stop in 10 meters. During this process, the force on the cycle due to road is 200 newtons and directly opposite to the motion. How much work done on the road do on this cycle? So first of all, here this is the road, and here there is a bicycle who is riding by a person, and this is moving, and he has to take a stop up to the displacement is equal to 10 meters, and there is a force acting opposite to the cycle motion of the cycle. That force F is equal to 200 newtons, and the motion of the body, the displacement in this direction. So the angle between displacement and force, that is taken as 180 degrees. So that means given force is equal to 200 newtons and displacement is equal to 10 meters and angle is equal to 180 degrees. But which one we want to calculate here? That is work done the road on the cycle. So that means work done is equal to force, displacement and cos theta. So force is 200 and displacement is 10 and cos 180 degrees. So cos 180 degrees is -1. So minus 200 into 10 joules is equal to minus 2000 joules. So which option is correct here? Option B is correct. Now the question number 14. A fully loaded Boeing aircraft has a mass of 3.3 into 10 to the power of 5 kg. Its total wing area is 500 meters square. It is in level flight with a speed of 960 km per hour. Estimate the pressure difference between lower and upper surface of the wings. So one thing we have to remember here, what is the given first we will write. So M, that means mass of the aircraft, that is 3.3 into 10 to the power of 5 kilograms, and area of the wing, that is equal to 500 meters square. It is in level flight with a speed of, that is 960 km per hour. Estimate the pressure difference between lower and upper surfaces, but I put the arrows in the textbook given, that is lower here, upper here. So that's why lower and upper surface of the wings. So let us consider it is the wing. I am drawing the free body diagram. So the weight which is acting in the downward direction, but whatever the normal force acting, that is pressure difference into area. So that means when we are equating, that means upward force which is acting, force is equal to pressure is equal to force by area. So force is equal to pressure into area. So this is upward force, F up. So that means what is that here? Delta P into A is equal to M into G. So the pressure difference is equal to mg divided by A. So that means weight how much here? 3.3 into 10 to the power of 5 into 10 divided by area 500. So that means 3.3 divided by 5 into 10 to the power of 5 plus 1 minus 2. So on calculation of this one, 3.3 divided by 5 into 10 to the power of 4. On simplification of this one, we are getting 6.47 into 10 to the power of 3 Newton by meter. So or otherwise nearly I will write 6.5 into 10 to the power of 3 Newton by meter. Newton by meter square. So which option is correct among all these ones? 6.5 into 10 to the power of 3 Newton meter square. So C option is correct. Now the question number 15. One end of the string of length L is connected to a mass M and the other end to the small peg on smooth horizontal table. If the particle moves in circle with a speed V and tension T in the string, then net force on the particle directed toward the center. So here, if the particle moves in a circle with speed v and T is the tension in the string, then net force on the particle is how much? So that means, what is the net force? Let us consider, here there is a string of length L is connected to a mass M. That means one end is connected to the mass M and other end must be connected to small peg on the smooth horizontal table. And if the particle moves with a speed v and the tension in the string, so tension is always acting like this. That means tension always pulls the body. So that means acting this side, and the particle which is moving in a circular path. So in this case, what happens here? Mass, the weight of the body which is acting in the downward direction, and the normal reaction which is acting in the upward direction, and the tension of the string which is acting in this direction, in the same direction only there will be the centripetal force, that is mv square by r also acting. But in this case, what happens here? Normal, that means this is the vertical component. So normal n is equal to m into g, and here horizontal component T is equal to mv square divided by r is nothing but L. So that means T is equal to mv square divided by L. This is nothing but centripetal force. So that means here the force is equal to tension T. So that means which option is correct here? Option A is correct. Now the question number 16. A radioactive sample has an activity A in air. If the same is kept inside the water, then its activity A dash becomes, what is that? So here, first of all, I am taking here radioactivity sample. I am taking first in air, then that activity is A. So when it is kept in water, that activity becomes A dash. But what happens here? A becomes less than A, B becomes more than A, C is same as A, D will be less than or equal to A depending on density of water. But here one thing remember, whatever the activity we are doing in air or water, this activity is independent in which it is placed. So that means activity is independent on the medium. So that means A is equal to A dash. That means is same as A. So now the question number 17. Dimensions of epsilon naught. So the epsilon naught is nothing but permittivity of free space. So permittivity of free space. So where this one is exist, that formula we will write. F equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 by r square. So from here epsilon naught is equal to q1 q2 by f r square. So first of all I will write here force. F is equal to mass into acceleration. So mass acceleration is Lt to the power of minus 2. And here charge. Charge Q is equal to IT. I means A into T. Why? Because in terms of A they gave. And then afterwards distance. That is R is equal to meters expressed in terms of length. Now here epsilon naught dimension formula is equal to charges Q1 Q2 means AT into AT divided by force mLt to the power of minus 2 into R square is nothing but L square. So here A square t square divided by m L to the power of 3 t to the power of minus 2. Now here m to the power of minus 1, L to the power of minus 3, t to the power of plus 2, a to the power of 2. So here final answer is m to the power of minus 1, L to the power of minus 3, t to the power of 4 and a square. So which option is correct here? Option A is correct. Now the question number 18. If the angles of dip at two places are 30 degrees and 45 degrees respectively, then the ratio of horizontal components of Earth's magnetic field at two places will be how much? So first of all, we have to get an idea about what is dip and what is declination. So here when the magnet which is suspended freely in the air, it shows north and south directions. So what happens here? So here this is the geographical meridian and it is the magnetic meridian. The angle between geographical meridian and the magnetic meridian is known as the declination, that is represented by means of alpha. Then what is the dip? It is the angle between horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field in the direction of magnetic meridian and the direction which shows the north and south directions. So the angle between horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field in the direction of magnetic meridian and the direction of magnetic field. So that means this is B. Can be divided into horizontal component and vertical component. So horizontal component is nothing but B cos dou and vertical component B sin dou. So these two are. But which one are given here? That is horizontal component. So here horizontal component, that is H is equal to B cos dou. But here the dou 1 is equal to 30 degrees and dou 2 is equal to 45 degrees. But here the ratio of horizontal components of Earth's magnetic field at a given place. So that means what is that here? H1 divided by H2 is equal to B cos dou 1 divided by B cos dou 2. So that means here B cancel, cos 30 degrees divided by cos 45 degrees. That is cos 30 degrees is nothing but root 3 by 2, cos 45 1 by root 2. So here what happens in this case here? Root 3 by 2 into root 2 by 1. So that means what happens in this case? Now here rationalization. Root 2 multiplied with root 2. Root 2 with 2 cancel. The remaining is root 3 by root 2. Or otherwise root 3 is to root 2. Which option is correct here? Option A is correct. Now the question number 19. Lenz's law is the consequence of law of conservation of which one? Energy, charge, linear momentary or electric flux. But what Lenz's law states that? Lenz's law states that induced current will appear in such a direction that opposes the change in the flux produced in it. Flux produced in it. Let us consider this is the coil and it is the magnet, north pole and south pole. When magnet is movement towards the coil, then immediately it forms north pole and here the current direction like this. Suppose when the north pole is moving away from the coil and again here forms south pole and we are getting the current as like this. So that means induced current always opposes the change produced in it. So that means here what happens when it is comes towards this one forming north pole and opposes the motion and again moving away from it again forming the south pole and opposes the motion hit. So that means what happens here? Energy conservation takes place. So that's why which option is correct here? Option A is correct. That means Lenz's law is the consequence of law of conservation of energy. Now the question number 20. Two tuning forks X and Y are of the frequencies 280 Hz and 284 Hz. A third tuning fork Z is of unknown frequency. When X and Z are sounded together, certain beats are heard per second, and Y and Z are sounded together, beat frequency is found to be thrice as great. So the frequency of Z is how much? So let us consider tuning fork X, tuning fork Y, and tuning fork Z. So this is having the frequency N1, this is having the frequency N2, and this is having the frequency N3. So N1 frequency is nothing but 280 Hz, N2 frequency is nothing but 284 Hz, and N3 is nothing but unknown frequency. That's why that is N3 I will leave. Then here, first of all, X and Y tuning forks are sounded together. That means both are sounded together certain beats per second. So that means certain beats per second is nothing but N2 minus N1 is equal to B. So let us consider B is that certain frequency. I will take this one as 1. Then afterwards, Y and Z sounded together. It is given. So Y and Z sounded together. Beat frequency is found to be thrice as great. So that means N3 minus N2 is equal to 3B. This is second one. So from 1 and 2 equations, N2 minus N1 is equal to B. N3 minus N2 is equal to 3B. Now substitute the values. N2 is nothing but how much here? Now in this question, what is given here? X, Y and Z are the three tuning forks. X frequency N1, Y frequency N2, Z frequency N3. So then what happens? N1 frequency how much is given here? 280 Hz, and N2 frequency is given 284 Hz, and N3, that is Z frequency, is not given. That is unknown frequency we want to find here. So that means what happens here? When X and Z tuning forks are sounded together, then means what happens here? N3 minus N1 is equal to B is the certain frequency. So N3 minus 280 is equal to B. This is the equation number 1. Then afterwards what happens here? Y and Z sounded together. Then what happens here? That frequency is thrice as great. So that means N3 minus N2 is equal to 3B. That means N3 minus 284 is equal to 3B. That is second equation. So from first and 2, these two equations, I am dividing these like this. N3 minus 280 divided by N3 minus 284, B divided by 3B. B gets cancelled. Cross multiplication, we are getting 3 times N3 minus 280 is equal to N3 minus 284. So here 3N3 minus 840 is equal to N3 minus 284. That means 3N3 minus N3 is equal to minus 284 plus 840. That means 2N3 is equal to, subtraction of these two, we are getting here 556. So N3 is equal to 556 divided by 2 is equal to 278 Hz. So here the frequency N3 is equal to 278 Hz. So here it is the answer.